Hi, and welcome to this FONAF coffee break. My name is René Brummel. I'm a product specialist at FONAF, and I will be your presenter today. As this coffee break is live, you can ask your questions via the GoToWebinar question window. We will answer them at the end of the coffee break. Today, we're going to explain how to add Responsibility Center information to your Business Central reports. Responsibility Centers may be seen as a separate office in Business Central, and as such, they have their own address, email, and website information. Of course, when we send documents from a specific responsibility center, we also want to use that responsibility center's address on our documents. Fortunately, FONAF makes this easy. Let's have a look and see how it works. To demonstrate showing responsibility center information, I'm going to use these steps. The prerequisites, what do I need to get going? In step 2, I will set up the responsibility centers. In step 3, I will get more responsibility center information. And in step 4, I will add a logo per responsibility center. Let's start with the first step. Today, I will be working in a Business Central on-premise server with the Business Central 2025 Wave 1 release. I've installed the FONAF customizable report pack, and I've executed the step-by-step wizard from the assisted setup to get started. I've installed the FONAF Designer, which is part of the FONAF Toolbox. You can download the FONAF Toolbox from the FONAF website. And of course, everything I do today will also work in a cloud environment. Getting the responsibility center is easy. The company information is already added to all of the standard FONAF reports. All we need to do is tell FONAF to use the responsibility center address instead of the company address. We can do this by making company record temporary and linking it to the record data item. FONAF will handle the rest. So, of course, let's show this. Now, what I have, just a plain Kronos database. I have some responsibility centers. And one of them is called Birmingham, which has the Birmingham address and the Birmingham websites. And the other one is London, which has the London address and the London websites. And to demonstrate how all of this works, I've created 3 sales orders. One of them with no responsibility center, so we should get the default company address for this one. One of them with the responsibility center Birmingham, so we will get the Birmingham address, and one of them with the responsibility center London, so we should get the London address. Let's have a look at the standard FONAF report. If I run it without any changes, FONAF will get the standard Kronos International address on all of them. So if we want to use the responsibility centers addresses, we need to do something to the FONAF layout. And what we need to do, open the layout in the FONAF Designer. And in this layout, we have some records. And if I drill down, you can see we have the company information record added there. And it has no links or link references, so it just gets the first company information record. There's only ever one. So that by default just gets the standard stuff. If I want to get this company information to show responsibility center information instead, I need to set the temporary switch to true, and that's going to load the information dynamically based on my current conditions. But I also need to tell FONAF that the link reference that I'm using is going to be the header table. So I set temporary to true, and I set the link reference to header, and that will prompt FONAF to dynamically load my responsibility center address in my company information table. And that looks like this. If I preview the report, you can see for the first order, we still have the company information address because it didn't have a responsibility center. For the next one, we have Main Street 14 in Birmingham. And if we scroll further down, we have the Birmingham email and the Birmingham homepage. And the final one has the Kensington Street in London address, which is the London Responsibility Center. And it has the London email address and the London homepage. Now we've added our responsibility center, we may get some more information. The standard 4NAV temporary table implementation, for instance, doesn't use the responsibility center's name, it uses the company information name. So if we want to get the responsibility center name, we need to link the actual responsibility center. This, fortunately, with 4NAV is not that hard either. Once again, I go to my report properties and my records. And in these records, I'm going to add my responsibility center, which is this one. I'm going to link this to the sales header. And 4NAV will automatically add the link. The code, responsibility center code, is the field responsibility center on the header, which is perfect. Hit OK. And then, of course, I want to show the address dynamically. Let's remove this from the master report. Of course, you can add the responsibility center record to the sales template and do these changes on the sales template, and then they will drip down on all of the sales documents. This is a bit easier to demo. That's the reason I'm not using the sales template for this. So what I need to do in the source expression of the address is check if the responsibility center actually has a value. So I can do responsibility center dot field extensions dot code dot has value. This expression will check if there is a responsibility center loaded. Then, if there is, I use responsibility center field groups address, and if not, then I'm going to switch back to the normal company information. And what I've used here, if you haven't seen it before, is called a ternary operator, which is a great shorthand way of doing an if statement. And what I write in shorthand, if responsibility center code has value, then use responsibility center field groups.address, else use company field groups.address. Hit OK and preview. Then for the first one, we still have the Krones. The second order now has the Krones Birmingham RC name on it, and the third one has the Krones London RC name on it. Finally, we can also add a different logo per responsibility center. We can do this by adding a new logo in the 4NAV file storage and linking that to the responsibility center. The responsibility center itself doesn't actually have a logo field. That's just a plain address and homepage information and such. So we are going to use the 4NAV file storage to store our logo. First thing I need to do is figure out how to link my responsibility center to the file storage. And the easiest way to do that is to grab the responsibility center code and use that in the 4NAV file storage. And then I can have the responsibility center code, which is used all over the place in Business Central, and get the 4NAV file storage with this code. That also means that in the 4NAV file storage, I can add a new record. The code is going to be London. The type, I will just add logo. I only have one record in here for now, but if you want to have more files with the code London, you can have a logo and an email or whatever. That's the reason why we have the code and the type. The file is going to be my London logo. Add the London logo to the description as well. Then the 4NAV report layout, I'm going to add another record, my records collection. This record is going to be the 4NAV file storage. And I need to choose the link reference. Now I have a couple of places where I can choose the link reference for the responsibility center. I can grab it of the header, I can grab it of the company information, and I can also grab it of the responsibility center itself. They're all the same. They're all the same code, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm going to use the company information for now. And I'm going to set my link to code is responsibility center. That gets the first file storage with the responsibility center as the code. And of course, I need to specify a further filter because the type is logo. And in my calculated fields, I need to calculate the data. That's a blob in the database. And I need to calculate it before I can use it. So that's done. Then for the picture, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the address. So I'm going to have this switch dynamically between the company logo and the London logo. File storage dot field extensions dot go value storage dot data. That's the same. It's the same thing. If FORNAV file storage code has value, if we can't load a FORNAV file storage, and the code is going to be empty. So if that has a value, we use the FORNAV file storage data. If not, I'm going to use the FORNAV setup.logo. Review this one. Then first report gets the FORNAV logo, second report gets the FORNAV logo because I didn't add anything for Birmingham, and the third report gets the London logo. Let's recap what we just did. We found that we could easily add responsibility center information by making the company information record temporary and linking that to the header data item. FORNAV then copies the responsibility center information automatically. And we could, of course, also get the responsibility center information manually by adding the responsibility center record to our report. And finally, we added the responsibility center logo from the FORNAV file storage by linking the responsibility center code to the file storage code field. I can see we have no questions at this moment, so I'm going to wrap up this coffee break. If you want to know more about FORNAV, or if you want to download the FORNAV toolbox, please visit our website. If you want to install FORNAV in Business Central Cloud, please visit the Microsoft App Stores. You can watch more videos about FORNAV on our YouTube channel, and if you have any questions about FORNAV, please email them to support@fornav.com. For the full list of upcoming and recorded coffee breaks, please visit fornav.com/coffeebreak. With that, thank you very much for joining me today, and goodbye.